Hi everyone. Just a second.
Okay, it's good now.
Hello everyone.
Hi everyone.
We'll just wait for a couple of more minutes for everyone to join in.
But it's good to see you all before 9.
Yeah. Let's maximize that. Thanks, Harsh, for the question. So we are organizing this for CPA Ontario. Not very sure, what would the largely the differences between both of them, but I suppose should be the same. Yeah. So we have more than 20 participants now. Let's wait for like maybe 1 or 2 more minutes.
Yeah, and then we'll start.
Yeah. So hello everyone. We have like more than 30 participants now. The others can join, as soon as the call progresses. So thank you everyone for joining in. We conducted one session last Saturday, which was around 12 p.m. and it we received a very positive response from that webinar, which is why we are conducting this one again. We intend to hold more in-depth webinars in the future, but for now, it is this webinar will be more of an introductory call or discussion, wherein we will be touching almost each and every part. irrespective of your preparation levels, whosoever is at registration, whosoever has done is done with registration, whosoever has even appeared for one attempt, I think this should be very useful. So we would start with just our background. Yeah. So, okay. So I can start with my background first. So I am a CA from India. Did my CFE in last attempt September 23. A total of more than 7 years of work experience post qualification. Have worked in India, Scotland, and then Canada, and have worked in Big Fours, MNCs, and currently I am working in Coca-Cola in Toronto. And very recently, we both also got registered as a CPA mentor with the CPA Ontario. Guneet?
Hi everyone, my name is Guneet. I'm also a chartered accountant back from India. So I qualified chartered accountancy back in India in 2019, and then like I started my post qualification journey with Deloitte USI. In 2022, I moved to Toronto. That is when I got into Deloitte Toronto. But then most of my post qualification experience has been in external audit with Deloitte. Very recently, December last year, is when I made my first switch to industry as a manager financial reporting. So it's a change of roles, very drastic change, but yeah, learning and soaking. And also with that, same as Ravneet, we both qualified our CP and became CPA, like CPA in September. So yeah.
And before we begin with the further slides, I have been mainly into taxation, and she has been into audit. And during our CP preparations as well, our journeys have been very different, I would say. Although we were studying sort of together, but our journeys were quite different, which you would know. So you will, I'm very sure you will get two different perspectives, one from her lens and one from mine. So yeah, about the audience today, just so that you guys have a sense of who are you among with. So 75%, so a total of 150 responses that we got in the Google sheet. So it says that 75% are Indian CAs, 37% are like almost one third are the ones who have already registered, and the others are in the process or want to know more. In terms of CFE attempt and preparation levels, I think more or less everyone is in the same boat here. If you see what is your preparation level for CFE, 83% said they have not started yet. So our focus will be accordingly, giving you tips and giving you that building base as to how you can go forward from here.
And even with people, like there's 11 or 12% of people approximately who said that they have started with technicals, because that's normally the first thing that you begin with when you start with your preparation. So considering or keeping that in mind, this session or kind of the slides that we've prepared align with that. So we'll cover the process for introduction or like registration, and then how you start preparing, what resources you can use, and things like that.
On that note, we can share the agenda items as well as to what we intend to, discuss today. So it will be mainly around the first, like, why do you need CPA qualification for the persons who have not registered for CFE? What is the registration process? And then how do you prepare? Why is CFE challenging? Why are we having this call today where, everyone around, especially Indian CAs want that path, that how do you actually become, what is the preparation process, and why it is getting difficult. So those sort of things, and then we'll have an open round for everyone to give your questions and we can try to answer them.
But yeah, like as we are talking, it would be a little difficult for us to kind of manage the questions on text as well. But then we would really appreciate that if you get any questions as you're hearing us, if you could put those messages in the chat box, and then we'll take those questions right after we are done with the session.
Yeah, ideally we will want that, if you can do that, but most of your questions should get answered during the call. Let's see how it goes.
Okay.
So, yeah, why do you actually need a CPA qualification in Canada? Is the question most of you know, but still we'll give you some insight. So for mine, like in my case, I'm currently a tax specialist. I am wanting to move to a tax manager, if even if I move internally or if I move externally to another organization, I need that CPA. So that is one of the prerequisites in the job description, and that is a big, big blockage if I do not become a CPA. And even in the case of internal promotions, you can get promoted internally easily, and you have a good pitch that okay, I am become like I have the local knowledge now, and that becomes a good case for internal promotions.
So normally, like when you just step into this market, or if most of you, you guys are already working, so you would know that normally when you start with your first job here, people would accept you considering you have prior experience back from India, you have an Indian chartered accountancy degree, so it's
Yeah.
good to start off with. But when you're actually looking to, go up those stairs, it gets a little difficult. For me, if there are people in this call who are from Big Four, they would know that Big Four kind of sponsors the courses for you. So, but I kept delaying it for a little bit. I was like, why do I need it? I have Indian CA, and I didn't need CPA Canada degree up until the senior manager promotion. So I was like, I was taking it very lightly. But then it was only time when I started looking out for opportunities, that is when I started realizing that it was so important to have that degree. Because in any job description that you would see, they would always mention CPA Canada as a required, and you wouldn't even get calls back from them because you didn't have that qualification. So it was a tough task. But then that was one of the things that motivated me to get done with it.
And obviously, if you want to open your own tax practice, that is one of the things.
Because as immigrants, I think this is one of the the parts that everybody thinks of, that you want to start
Opening a
something of
business.
your own, or you want to have your own gig, or a business or practice, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's always good that you have that local degree, but along with that degree and opening that practice, you also get the knowledge, or the local the knowledge of the local frameworks that operate here. So it's always a plus point.
Okay. So on this note, we'll just move to, how to get registered, what are the timelines, and, the estimated cost. Many of you, as mentioned, may not be aware of the registration process. So we have indicated a couple of deadlines as to how and when you should get registered. So basically, there are two parts to it. One is registering as a CPA student, and then is the CFE enrollment, which is the exam form that you fill.
So these are two separate things. So when you have to register as a student, that's the first process. So for that, everybody would know that ICI India does have a memorandum, like an MOU with CPA Canada, due to which we only have to write the CFE directly, and we are exempt from the other modules throughout the course. So when you start for your enrollment, the documents that are required is a good standing certificate. And this good standing certificate, you can directly apply from the SSP portal back in ICI, our members portal there. But then there's one catch, that good standing certificate you can request from the SSP portal, but you actually need to send an email to to ICI, India.
Good standing team.
To the good standing team, so that they send it directly to CPA Ontario, or whatever your chapter is, to their email ID directly. So that's one thing that's very important.
Second, about VES. So VES, many like one of the common questions is, can we use the VES that we use in the case of Canadian PR? No, you cannot. You need to upgrade that VES to VES ICAP. It is for a nominal fees, and then you need to mention that send this VES directly to CPA Ontario. But note please that this VES is not required if you have 5 years of post qualification experience. So when we say post qualification, it is actually after passing CA, and the articleship experience does not count.
So like why we're going into detail in a little these topics is because we used to receive a lot of these questions, so we want to cover them firsthand. So in case you also have these questions, they get answered. So in the West report, like we did receive this question. Normally, like Ravneet said, that most of the people who come on PR, they get their West done.
Yeah.
But no, it's a different, like you have to upgrade your report. You cannot use that same West. So when you go to that option of upgrade report in your West login,
Yeah.
it will ask for the required documents again, but you do not have to provide any documents.
Yeah.
Please note this, you do not
So
have
it is
to
a very
upload any
fast process. It
documents.
will, it ideally may take only like less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, it only takes like 10 to 14 days.
10 to
That's
14.
about it. But then you have to pay the fee. You don't have to upload any documents.
And the third is very basic, that you just need to give your resume.
Yeah.
And like currently the CPA Ontario website says that the timeline to get registered as a CPA student is around 12 weeks, like it says 8 to 12 weeks. So yeah, that's about the timeline, and the total cost of it is $800, total initial registration, etc. So that's about it. And until you become a CFE member, say you do not appear for CFE attempt for say 2 years,
like you get registered this year maybe,
Yeah.
but then you don't write
Appear.
the attempt up till next year.
Yeah.
So you will have to pay that annual student dues up
Annually.
until that time.
Yeah, that would be like $750 annually until you become a CPA. So that's about CPA registration. And about the timelines for September 24, ideally, the time is that you should start your registration in Feb, maximum by Feb end, because as we said that the timelines is like almost 3 months. And once you get registered, then you also need to enroll for your CFE exams. The deadline for September 24 is May 27. So the thing is that you need to be a CPA student before May 27,
so that you can fill in the form for the
Forms.
CFE exam in September.
exam. And if you do not get registered within, before this window, then unfortunately, like you would have to go to the next attempt for that.
You would have to wait.
And for May 24, because the CFE enrollment date is Feb 26, even if you start the
Process now.
the registration process
Yeah.
now, you may not be able to enroll. So yeah, if you like 50% of you are attempting September 24, so try to initiate your registration ASAP and get that done, get that out of the window, and then start off with your CFE enrollment when the time comes, which is April and May.
Yeah.
And the estimated cost is around $1,700 for this one.
Yeah, and that's the CP exam cost.
Yeah. So that's about the registration. You may have some questions, so please feel free to drop that in the chat. So now about the CFE structure, and we are into the actual thing now. So we have 3 days back to back: day 1, day 2, and day 3. Day 1 here is a separate evaluation, which means that if you pass day 1, you pass day 1. Next time, even if you do not pass the other ones, you don't have to appear for day 1 again. And day 2 and day 3 are combined, so you have to pass both of them at the same shot. If you don't pass, then you have to appear for both of them in the next attempt, just in case. Broadly, the time of the exam for this is 4 hours, 5 hours, and 4 hours, which we as Indian CAs are not very used to, because we have given 3-hour exams. And the number of cases, when we see number of cases, is like the study case. So you are given a case study, to case study and related 4 to 5 questions, which we also see as assessment opportunity, or AO. So we have like one case in day 1, one big case in day 2 again, and day 3 we will have 3 cases back to back in the same window of 4 hours. So
yeah, those are normally 70 to 90-minute cases. So in those 4 hours, you have to kind of attempt 3 cases generally.
And the competency, so when we say competency, is basically the subjects that will be tested. So in day 1, you will understand, once you are into the process, that the main competency is strategic decision making. So that's their focus, that what actual business decisions are you making in the case or the exam.
So day 1 is not technical. It's more of your thought process, like how do you think, how do you process the situation that's given in the case. Also, day 1 is directly connected to the Capstone 1 case. So for people who are going through the whole process, they do their submissions and assignments for Capstone 1. So normally, say if the Capstone 1 case was for 2022, so we had the case called JR Pets. So it was like there's this JR Pets, it's a company, and they are evaluating if they should expand their business operations or do this or do that. That's the whole case that was there in Capstone 1. Now when you write CFE day 1, that same case, they just like extend that case by
to say
say
5 years.
5-7 years. Like so basically it's connected, so you already have background of that case, what that company is, what its goals were, what its vision mission was, and everything. You have all the details. It's just the situations change, so the questions normally change, right?
But just to mention here, like we as Indian CAs don't have to give Capstone 1. So it is not, mandatory, or, you should not think that as a hurdle. Okay, I have not given Capstone 1. What do I do? It's fine.
Because these were the questions that we also had, that, we have no idea what the case is. We didn't do Capstone 1. So how can we read one case which we haven't even attempted and still be able to do day 1? But it's not a problem at all. Because normally when you'll start doing it, you'll come to know that the case actually does not have a lot of relation to what the questions were back in Capstone 1. It's only like they just roll forward the years and the situations change, but the company background is the same, which you need to know about. That's all. That's about it. But again, it's not technical. There's no competency or technical subjects that are being tested in day 1. It's strictly like the way you think, the way you qualitatively and quantitatively analyze situations, and how you reach to conclusions. That's about it.
We will come to the focus areas once we discuss all of the 3 days, because that is one of the most important areas that we want to put out. In day 2, you are basically tested one elective, and the second is FAMA, Financial Accounting and Management Accounting. So when we say elective, you have the choice to either choose assurance or financial management. Is that strategy?
Performance management,
and
tax.
finance. And tax. So you have basically 4 options. Normally people choose assurance, and
you would see that
finance.
a lot of people choose assurance, even if you have a tax background, because Ravneet also had tax background. But most of the people choose assurance in this role.
And we will tell you why in the later stages as well. And then in day 3, we have like 3 cases, as you said. And in this day, we have almost all the 6 competencies, like all 6 subjects which are listed down here. And you would expect question from almost all of these. So when we talk about focus area, so this is all from experience which we are saying. When we talk about day 1, it means like focusing on completing all the AOs. Like if you tend to complete all the questions in the right structure, which we will discuss, then you have a good chance of passing. And when we talk about day 2, if you are focusing on your elective, Guneet took assurance, I took assurance, and some of you may take finance as well. If you are focusing more on those questions on this day, it will help you and in the probabilities of getting passed. And in day 3, the focus is on touching all the competencies. Like someone may not touch tax at all during the entire day 3. So effectively, what you did is that you did not allow the marker to test you on tax at all, neither on day 1, neither on day 2 and day 3. He may term you as incompetent in a way. So you have to touch all of these 6 competencies.
Because you lacked breadth, right? Because breadth would mean that you're covering all the competencies, right? So the main difference between day 2 and day 3 is that if you would see, day 2 is actually majorly focused on the elective that you choose. But day 2 is not just elective, it also has financial accounting and management accounting questions, and that's and/or, because sometimes if you see the previous year's cases, you would see that sometimes there's normally 6 questions in total from FA or and MA. So sometimes there were 6 questions all from financial accounting, sometimes they were all from management accounting, sometimes it was a mix of 3 plus 3.
Like in the last attempt, our attempt was 3 plus 3. So you cannot second guess here, like this would be the structure.
But again, the important part here is that day 2 is the only day that you have the opportunity to showcase your capability in the elective role that you're choosing. Because FAMA, even if you slightly say miss out on time, if you're running out of time or something happens, FAMA you can still cover in day 3, but elective you cannot cover.
You
So
cannot cover.
like a couple of our friends, it happened with them that in day 2 there's normally 13 AOs in total, out of which 6 AOs are FAMA. So there's 7 elective role AOs, right?
Yeah.
So what happened with them is that they attempted the 6 FAMA AOs first, because you know it all, right? It's technical, you know the questions, you're like, okay, let me attempt this first and I'll go to the elective later. But then they actually missed out on a few questions of elective, and a couple of our friends did not end up clearing. And this is what they now kind of regret, that they didn't attempt elective first. But
and in
as
our
opposed
case,
to us,
in our case, like we pre-hand adopted the strategy that we'll go for the electives first. There may be a case that we may miss out on a couple of MA or FA questions, but we will still have a chance to cover that on day 3. And that is what eventually happened. So it is what eventually happened. That is one of the strategies that we adopted, and it worked, right? So yeah, guys. So that's about the CFE structure. We are seeing questions again. We will answer those
come
in
back
the end.
to you guys.
Yeah, come back in the end. And so that's about the structure. Now we want to focus on why does CFE become challenging, and what strategies you should adopt. And this is one of the key focus areas of this webinar as well. So yeah, uh, on why does CFE become challenging, especially if you are an Indian CA. See, in India, you have paper-based exams. Here, you have all computerized based exams. You have 3 hour question answer, playing around,
and subjective questions, like you have technical questions and you're just answering them theoretically.
And
but
say,
here
and say if you're talking about day 2 here, it's like 5 hour of directly getting into one case study, and if you get out of that case study, you will just forget it, what you were actually doing. And believe us, guys, it feels like 5 hours. It is not like you do not have space. If you take a water break, you will miss one assessment opportunity, AO or question. So that is how, won't say stressful, but you need to manage time well. And also, you would have leaves between exams in back in India, but here you have day 1, day 2, day 3, so you do not have any chance to revise or do anything of those sorts. But yes, mental strategy is very important. That is what we used to do. We came back from day 1. We used to strategize about day 2. Okay, how our structure will look like. As she mentioned, day 2 has 13 AOs, 13 questions. 6, okay, FAMA. 7, we have assurance. We will strategize assurance first, and thinking those in our mind, and thinking about the next day. And similarly, when we came back about day 2, so strategy also is very important.
It's like we cannot emphasize how important it is, because you need to pre-hand know what you're going to do on those exam days, and all of that while also not exhausting yourself mentally, because you are writing those cases like back to back, day 1, day 2, day 3. You need to have that mental space that you don't burn yourself out after 2-3 months of preparation and this time crunch and all that stress. So it's very important that you strategize what you're doing, how you're attempting the exam, what strategy you're adopting when you're attempting AOs or questions and things like that. So strategy is very important. You can't just go into the exam saying that I'll have a list of questions and I'll just start attempting one by one and I'll go through it. That's not the right approach.
And also, people think that this is an open book exam. We may be able to refer to the books. As we said, it is very time constrained. They have deliberately opened that book for you. And if you actually open that, like, not strategically, like if you open that strategically,
we're not saying that you don't open the book. We ourselves use the book, but again, there's
like, if you don't adopt that particular strategy only for specific set of questions, then you're going to lose out on time, AOs, and then the exam. So that's about it. And yeah, so also one thing, you are following and you are into this webinar today, one advice we would surely give you, that whatever advice you are following, just if you're doing your own research or you are following some tutor, just follow one person. That will be very beneficial for you, because time is crunch. Even if you're appearing for September, everyone is working around here, so you don't have the real time with
because like everybody's approach about things is different. So it's better that if you're aligned with some tutor, or if you have some mentor that you're talking to or discussing or kind of studying with, or you have a study buddy, it's better that you kind of stick to that one approach, so that you you kind of are aligned all the time and you're not confused with different approaches that different people might adopt.
Yeah, more challenges. So when you
And why we're emphasizing so much on the challenges, because like these are things that when we were preparing for the CFE, we were looking around for maybe potential
mentorship,
potential issues that we
Yeah.
could face. We would not even understand why the time crunch and everything, why do people hype all of this so much.
Yeah.
But then we actually looked up on YouTube to find some
We didn't
some
find
some
any.
but we didn't
Didn't
find
find any.
anything like we
Yeah.
so it's all with our experience, like these slides that you see, that we've
That's
prepared all of this ourselves
everything
with
from our
our own
experience.
experience.
Yeah, so nothing out of like
Yeah.
we have examples to support on almost each and every point, but obviously time is crunch, so we are just
Yeah.
touching it upon.
Yeah.
So yeah, more challenges when you start writing cases. So one is a technical study, and one then you start writing cases. So people not know how much to write, how many cases to write, what structure should they adopt, what is the CFE way of writing those exam questions or answers. And then when you are practicing back home, you start writing cases, but you just wrote the case, you didn't learn from the case, which we say as debriefing. So you didn't debrief the case, you didn't spend enough time, and then you didn't learn enough from the cases. And then also you did not balance between technicals and case writing, or someone did 2 months of technicals and only 1 month of case writing as compared to opposite. So things like these, we will try to tackle these in the upcoming slides, and maybe more common misconceptions.
Yeah. So like these are the common misconceptions that normally people would think that higher the number of cases that we're writing, uh, we kind of practice more, so we'll be good with that. So like Ravneet mentioned, writing is different, but then debriefing a case. So debriefing means that you actually have, when you get the previous year's cases, or you download it from maybe CPA's website, or like generally you Google it out and practice. What is important is that you also download the solutions, and after you've written the case, you spend some time actually seeing what you wrote and comparing it to the perfect solution. So that's what helps you learn technical side by side as well. And that's the most important part. One of the most important issue that people face, and this is the questions that we've received so much from so many
Yeah.
people, that like when can we start writing cases actually, like
Yeah.
do we finish the technicals first and then start writing
Yeah.
cases, or how do we go about it?
Yeah.
And this is like we were in the same boat, because we also used to think that until we are not done with the technicals, how can we even start
writing
with the case,
Yeah.
right? Because we won't even know what to write. How do we start writing? But this is like, if there's one important lesson that you can take out of this
Call,
webinar,
yeah.
would be that do not wait for your technicals to end.
complete, because
Yeah,
they would never end.
they will never end.
Never
It's
end.
six subjects that you're covering. The technicals would never end.
Yeah.
And until you start actually writing a case, or you see cases,
Yeah.
you won't understand how a particular standard, how a question was framed out of a particular standard.
Yeah.
Because Ravneet, you want to give
which
that
one?
example of that revenue,
Which one?
the revenue IFRS, which we said that was a 60 pager, and then
Yeah. So basically, say IFRS on revenues, everyone knows about it, 115. So that standard is like 120, 130 pages. You start reading, how much time it will take to to go through that standard, know what is important. And even if you go through, we can more or less bet you would not be able to do the case right,
because you won't remember
Yeah.
all that you read, right?
And
It's so
also,
difficult to remember everything.
and also the focus areas of every standard like is very different. But say on the opposite, you just know a little bit, okay, there are 5 steps in revenue, and there is something about non-monetary and stuff like that, and you just know the basic structure. You spend say 2 hours on revenue, and then you did some cases say in a week or so, and then you didn't know the answer, you just tried your shot
Yeah,
at it,
you didn't know the
did it.
answer initially, but then that this
There
is
was
this
something.
is how they framed a question out
Yeah.
of that standard. So
Yeah.
this is the approach that I need to
Yeah.
adopt when I'm studying for it,
Yeah.
right?
So basically, technical study, as per both of our view, is very is basically deferred to when you are writing cases. Basically, you are learning a lot of technicals while writing
While
cases.
debriefing, writing and debriefing,
Yeah,
like,
writing
yeah,
and debriefing. Yes,
exactly.
yes, to be
So
correct.
like, we are not saying that you don't start with
Don't
technicals at
start.
all and then you just directly start writing cases. It's a balance, like it's a balance that you have to strike. We would recommend that you skim through technicals initially. You do, that's
Yeah.
important. It's not like we are asking you to kind of directly dive into case writing.
Yeah.
But then you start with technicals, you kind of skim through what all the technicals are, what
Yeah.
is in FA, because FA is the heaviest in terms of technical, what are the formulas, etc., in MA. And
Yeah.
then you start writing cases, and then
Cases.
you'll start seeing how, what kind of questions are being asked,
Yeah.
how you are being tested, and then it will be a fresh perspective for you. So even after that, when you start reading technicals, you read them knowing that this is the question that can be framed out of this, and I'm kind of learning that. So that was very helpful for us.
We will detail a little bit more on this. So now the focus is, these are all the challenges. Okay, how do we counterattack it? What should be our strategy? We have discussed a bit of it, during these slides as well. But what should be a counterattacking strategy, or how you should actually, do around your studying? So have a study schedule here. You should know when you are starting. You are appearing for May 24 or May 25 or September 24. You should know when you are actually starting, because if you start studying 8 months before the exam, that won't help, guys, because you would exhaust yourself until by the time you actually reach the exam. So appropriate time of preparation should be given, not more. And what should be your technical source? What books are you using? We will come to these questions later on. So we are throwing questions, but we'll come to these. And how do you debrief a case? How many cases you should get marked externally? How much cases you should do internally? Write, debrief yourself, and write, get marked externally from some professional markers. And even uh, yeah. So broadly, this about, just to start off with the study schedule. And you need to spend more time in the mock exam situations. Guneet had the habit initially, when she used to write a case, he would do in two halves, maybe spreading across 2.5 hours, 2.5 hours. You have to give that shot in 1 hour. And then she changed her approach, and then she actually started giving those 5-hour exams, and that is when you actually learn.
Because up until you don't actually write those exams in an cases in an exam like situation, you won't experience it, because that pressure of time ending, and that pressure where your brain is constantly thinking and you're figuring out, you're trying to recall things you've learned, like
Yeah.
it's a different environment. So you need to actually practice in that. So our biggest recommendation is that you don't first have hard time setups. Like, if you know that you're starting a case, like a day one case at 12,
Yeah.
know that you have to end it
Yeah.
at 4. Even if you did not complete
Yeah.
it, leave it at it.
Yeah.
Don't make that habit of overextending that case
And just
just for
saying,
the sake of
yeah,
finishing it.
just saying to yourself, okay, let me just complete the case,
Yeah.
at least I will know if I know the answer or not. See, answer you will know with time, but you need to be disciplined. If you are not, believe us, we have friends who missed assessment opportunities in the exam due to this
Because you
lack of
get
strategy.
habitual of doing it,
Doing
of
that.
overextending that time. So it's very important that you don't do it, and
Yeah.
then for the cases you sit in one go. That's very
We
important.
also have one question on CPA way, and we also have it here, like, what is the CPA way of writing? We will dwell into this in later webinars, not today. But just to give you one example, if the question asks you to give procedures for, say, checking inventory, you do not jump to the procedures directly. You have to write what is the risk, say, why I am doing this procedure, the how of it, why, what would be the risk if I do not do these procedures, then what assertion you are actually testing, and then procedures.
So it's a step, like it's a stepwise approach. So
step.
that's the CPA way. So this is one example of procedures, right?
Yeah.
Then there's
Deploy,
internal, there's internal control weaknesses. Like they would give you like 2-3 paragraphs and tell you that this is the process. And now somebody, they say the CFO of the company is asking you to tell us, provide recommendations for the to improve the internal control. Now in that, initially what we used to do is we used
Just
to
write the
directly start
recommendation.
writing the recommendations, but
Yeah.
only with as many cases as you write, and then you debrief, you learn that it's the way. Like first of all, you write what's the weakness in the internal control, right? What's the impact of that weakness, impact or implication of that weakness, and then you give your recommendation.
And also like this is the structure that she said. Then when you invest more time in this approach, then you actually learn how should I present it. Should I do this in a tabular format? At least one question you will know in your mind. You do this in tabular format, so that your the overall exam structure becomes more presentable, because everything otherwise you are writing just in words.
And it's very important that you kind of know the CPA way of attempting different AOs, because like we've both started marking cases for the May attempt as well. And we right now we understand that people have just started writing cases. So we are actually receiving cases attempted in this way, that there's no structure. But then I think it's something that you learn with time, but it's very important to follow that CPA way, in especially in those questions. And these are not just two examples. It's a lot of different formats that you have to follow, which kind of helped us clear it, I would say. Like it was very,
and that's like almost in every assessment opportunity, FAMA, anything, you have a structure. Even on a in like one assessment opportunity, Guneet used to ask, okay, so do we have a structure for this as well? And I used to ask her vice versa for the other AO. So you have structure for almost everything. You just need to follow that, and it also becomes easy for you, because when this question comes, I have this structure
like
ready.
it just increases your confidence level multifolds, because you already know that this is one type of a question that I've attempted, and I know that rest is content, right? I know what I can do with it, but I need to know the structure of it instead of diving into the answer or the response directly. So it's more about also how you're structuring your answers in the exam.
We have a lot of more inputs for you as well. We'll try to minimize it for the larger audience.
And I think this is this is why we could not have a webinar for 2 hours directly.
2 hours,
So then this, I know, like we are kind of instigating a lot of questions, but then basis the response that we receive from these calls, we will plan to kind of have in-depth calls
seminars.
For
Say
separately
day 1,
for day 1, day 2, day
3.
3, and people who are interested can definitely let us know, so that we basis the number of people that are interested, we can actually plan, because then we it takes time to prepare slides and put all of that into it,
and like
so
then
we can do
in those calls we can actually go into what day 1 is.
But then because we do have a lot of content to share, but
we have a lot of content,
the time is short, right?
So I think outlining a case. So one example that we can give for the larger audience, and is very relevant. Say there is product A and product B, right? There are 6 inputs, and you need to suggest whether the company should go for product A or product B. When I say 6 inputs, is say cost or percentage or contribution margin, whatever. So I addressed all those 6 inputs, calculated. I said, in the end, I just calculated product A, product B, say benefit or whatever, and concluded that company should go for product B. That's all. Guneet, on the other hand,
like this is just an example. That say like they gave us 6 pointers that we had to take in our calculation. So Ravneet, like he said, for example, a student A, like Ravneet, he attempted all 6 and then he just gave that one conclusion. And but then he did invest a lot of time, because it took him time to kind of write all those 6 things and then calculate and everything. But for me, as an example, say I just briefly like touched on those 4 points, 4 out of 6, but then those 4 were the ones that I could see directly, that these are simple plus minus that I have to do. I did that, and then I provided a recommendation, but I also added qualitative factors of why they should choose maybe product A over product B. So it's so important to understand that it's normally not only about the quants, but
Yeah.
also the qualitative factors of
Factors.
when you're taking a decision. So in this case, I provided a quant was not 100% perfect,
Yeah.
but then I did provide 80% of the quantitative solution,
Yeah.
even if, say, the benefit or the net income or the net profit that
Was
came
incorrect.
out was incorrect, right?
Yeah.
It was not complete. But then I also provided a qualitative factor, and then I provided my recommendation.
Yeah.
So in these two cases, out of these two students, the attempt that I choose would be the one that would be competent, but not Ravneet. He would only reach, say,
reasonable competency,
reasonable
or maybe
competency.
or maybe NC, which we say as non-competent.
But
So
then,
you understand
yeah,
here, guys, in terms of the numbers, I was correct.
Yeah.
But in terms of how you put it out and how you are recommending, so you are a CPA now. It is not about just calculating numbers, how you present. Are you also considering some qualitative factors and everything? So she may get a CD, which is competent with distinction as well.
Yeah.
So that is how you should avoid the perfectionist attitude,
Yeah.
being a part of big fours.
Because this was the problem with me, like, because I have been in audit all since I've qualified.
Yeah.
And I have that I have some formatting issues. I always need my excels to look perfect and my responses in word to look perfect. But then it took me some time to wrap my head around the fact that I have to actually focus on what I'm writing, what I'm doing, and not covering everything, but knowing that I'm covering enough to kind of respond to that particular AO completely start to end in the format that they want me to do it in, right? So this is also a CPA way that we were talking about right now. That guys, I think
Roshni?
somebody's
Roshni, can you please put on mute? Thanks.
Yeah. So
Uh, so yeah, spend a good time in strategizing stuff. And
yeah, but I think the point was that it took me some time to wrap my head around things that I was saying that this is the CPA way also, that when you're making any decision, you're not just looking at the quantitative side of it, you're also weighing the qualitative and then giving your recommendation. So it's step by step journey. Whereas like if there's another student who would reach to the net profit or the NPV of that project completely correct, but even then he would not get to a competent level in the exam, just because he did not do it in that CPA way. He did not cover the breadth of that question, and also because he spent so much time in that one particular question, I'm pretty sure that he would have lost that time in some other AO.
So they are wanting you to test at a very reasonable level.
Yeah.
They don't want you to be perfect in your responses. So we said that you should spend more time in writing cases. We'll come to that more as well. We have a lot of phone numbers with us now of the people who have responded on the Google form. We will try to form a WhatsApp group for everyone.
Yeah,
And
this is one of the requests that we received from the people
quite a lot,
we held the webinar with previously. So they also wanted us to create a
So we'll
WhatsApp
just
group.
create a WhatsApp group so that any question you have, if we are not available to answer, you can discuss within yourselves in the group, and that will be a very,
and the best part
very
is
good
that it will be a network of people who have the same background.
Yeah.
So even if you come across somebody who you want to have as a study buddy or something like that, you can do that. So I think that would be helpful.
And yes, list is endless. We will try to cover a lot in the upcoming webinars when we go into the details. So that's it for now in terms of how you should tackle. But in terms of, there are so many challenges and tips and tricks, there is a silver lining. The pass percentage in CFE is quite high. If you see the past trends, so this has been what the trend has been for the last 5 years or so. We have been more than 70% compared to, we all know what the pass percentage back in India is. So pass percentage of 70% is quite high, and the chances of getting through is very high. And I just wanted to also highlight on one point. Many people tend to consider day one as very light, not attempting or spending much time. But again, there are cases where people have passed even day 2, day 3, but not day 1.
Yeah, we had one of one
in the
one
last
of
calls
our,
as well.
friends who attended the last call. He did go through like day 2, day 3, but then he wasn't able to clear day 1, because there's a specific strategy that you need to follow
Even
when
for
you're
day one.
attempting day 1.
Yeah. So strategy is everything. Technical material is still, to a level you can learn, but strategy is everything, honestly. So, $1 million question: when you should actually start uh,
The
I,
preparation.
the preparation of it. So for me, I was working with Coke throughout, no study leaves. So this is my first case. So you can ideally start at least 4 months before start. We will tell you how to segregate, but ideally start 4 months before.
Yeah, because we received this question also from a
Quite a
few
lot.
people that
Yeah.
is it, can we actually study and write CFE when we're working full time? Like, is it something that is possible, that can be done? So yeah, like Ravneet did not have any leaves up until the week of the exam,
Yeah.
so he was like
So like
studying
like
right
studying
after.
only on weekends, only after work, and then say if your employer allows you leaves, we will advise 2 to 3 months should be good.
Yeah, for those who are working in Big Four or even some other consulting firms, they normally allow you a 2 months leave, which
Yeah.
was my case as well. Like, I had 2 months of leaves, so I started my preparation around 2 to 3 months
Yeah.
before, and like a little more before my friends also, because Ravneet was studying, so I was also doing that with him.
Yeah.
But then 2 months for people who are not working is good enough time.
A very rough idea of how you should break these 4 months, we would suggest 1 month of doing only technicals, just
Skimming
studying,
through
skimming
technicals,
through
getting to
technicals,
know what all is
getting to know.
covered.
So we are not saying complete all technical in that 1 month. Complete technicals to the extent you can, even if it is 25%, even if it is 10%. Just do that technical for 1 month and shift to case writing, because that is where the actual
Learning
learning
begins.
begins,
Yeah.
and we realize it very late. I did myself all the technicals for 2 months and then spend only 2 months in case writing. Was not the best approach. I covered up somehow, but was not the best approach. So this is from my mistakes, you can say. So that was about when should you start. Coming to how should you start, there are like 2 points. One is the technical material from where you should study, and then case writing, how many cases to write, how to write, how you should debrief, how you should get externally marked. And even currently, like in the last 1 month, for the persons and the students who are appearing for May 2024, like we have been receiving a lot of requests for writing, for getting the cases marked. And so even this, you need to plan in advance for May 24. When do you want to get the cases externally marked? So these are the.
Because I think last time when Ravneet was doing his own courses, I think you looked around for markers
I
in
looked around for a lot of markers around.
August, I think.
I think, yeah, we were appearing in September, like mid of September, and I was looking in July, August, and I was not unable to find
He was
enough
unable to find
bandwidth.
anybody who had, like, they used to just simply refuse that,
Because like people
we
get
already,
busy,
yeah, we cannot take more students, we already, our slots are full, so we can't take your exams for marking.
Currently, although we are doing it on an ad hoc basis, we don't have any like ad hoc limit, but we our next batch is starting in like mid of March, where we are keeping a certain uh, bit of bandwidth for students as to how many number of students we are taking it. So yeah, we can discuss that, if anyone is interested, and you can approach us later on. So two things: technical material and case writing. So about the technical material, there are 3 points. One, the sources are: one is the CPA study mat, which we normally call as Knotia. It is available once you enroll for CFE, and the material that you normally get is more in fact only financial accounting and taxation. Taxation is very wide, so you won't be able to comprehend from there. And FA you can, but because it
And
is
please
very.
note that Nausea is the same book that you get access to in the exam also as the reference
Yeah.
book. So Nausea is the same book that
Same
you're
book.
also using in the exam.
In the exam.
That's the only book that CPA provides you access to.
Yeah. And then you can, if anyone is into tuitions or following any tutor, so obviously follow what they say. And then there is an option which you can do, like I did for myself, that you can buy tutor books, study yourself, and then get cases externally marked. We have done a comparison chart at the end of all the slides as to what different options you can adopt for studying. So we will come to this again. Available tutors currently, there are more, but we have just listed the main ones. Like one is Pass, Densmore, Prep Formula, and if you obtain their full course, the cost could be anywhere around $2,500 to $3,000. case writing. So we talked about technical material, and now we are talking about case writing. As to how many cases are enough, to our experience, we would say if you do 2 to 3 of day one, 5 to 8 of day two, and 12 to 18. So that's the approximate range which we did as well, and we would say is enough. Uh, but please believe us, as we wrote in the misconceptions as well. It does not matter how many cases you write, even if you are writing 10 cases, but you debrief those well. It is that will prove to be very beneficial for you, rather than writing 20 cases, not evaluating at all, not learning. So it won't make sense. And then the importance of debrief. And can I check the all?
This
Can I
is
check
one
all the
question
cases?
that we
Yeah.
received a lot, that can I check all my cases myself? So like for this, we would say that I think it's a balance. When you just start writing cases, right? It's advisable that you debrief yourself, because when you debrief yourself, you're studying, or you're referring to the perfect response, and you're learning the technicals.
Yeah.
That is the time when you're learning, what you did and how you can do it better.
Yeah.
So it's also helping you with your technicals. But for say for September attempt, right, once you reach July, August, that is the time when you've actually reached like a good level of technicals also. Yeah. And that is when you actually when you're writing those cases, you can see a lot of improvement. But that is when you should actually get your cases marked by someone else.
Yeah.
Why that's important? Because when you get them marked by someone else, they will actually like give you the markings. Like, so there's NC, which is non-competent, there's RC, which is reaching competency. Yeah. C, which is competent, and CD is competent with distinction.
And with time
So
you
you
will also
require
learn like how many how many C's, how many RC's you require in different competencies. Like to pass elective, like there is no specified rule, but generally say around 5 to 6, just a rough idea. 5 to 6 of C's. So you need to have those
But
in hand.
C's are the competency is basically the grade that you are aiming for, right? RC and C's are good, but the maximum number of C's you get, that increases the chances of you passing.
And
so C's
and
are
there
very
is-
important.
and there is not a case that if you are that you should get only C, even if you get RC, but there should be a balance. Like say just a rough estimate, out of 10, get say 4 5 RCs, 4 5 Cs. This combination may or may not work. We will get into these when we get into the day wise schedules.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But then why it's important is coming back to what I was saying. If you get externally marked, they will actually give you where you stand, right? They will tell you if your response was an RC or a C. Now, when they mark the case, what happens is that so what the markers do is that they would get back to you with what was the improvement point, what you did wrong, or what you could have done better in each response,
For
like
each
in
question.
each AO, right?
Yeah.
And it is very, very helpful, because it's a perspective from somebody who continuously marks exams, who sees how the other candidates are writing. And they can actually bridge that way from an RC to a C for you. So that is where it really helps. But again, coming back to what we were saying, that initially you can debrief cases yourself because it's more beneficial. But then once you feel like you're confident enough and you've attempted like enough cases that you're now ready to get those evaluated from somebody outside, and it would actually prove helpful for you, that is when you should start doing that.
And also when we create the WhatsApp group, you guys feel free to reach out to each other, mark each other's cases. That is also good external evaluation.
You can also get
that has its limitations, but that is one of the good evaluations, and WhatsApp group would be very helpful for that. I think main benefits of getting it externally marked is that, say you are attempting September, you already know that on 15th of July you have first case, 25th second, and then August 5 third. So you have a fixed schedule. You don't have to spend time in reviewing those cases yourself, because you have already got that checked, and you have one specific schedule around that.
So you have to stick to it, right? You can't miss your deadlines of when you have to attempt the case and give it to somebody for marking. So like that worked very well for me, because I had a planned schedule from Deloitte. So I always knew that today this case is due, today I'm writing a day 3, today I'm writing a day 1. Because trust me, you actually struggle with always having that mindset. Some days you'll feel that today I don't feel ready to write a day 2 because it's too long, it takes too much, and you and you literally feel exhausted
Yeah.
after you write a day 2
And
case.
believe me, guys, like I used to work until 4 5, take a gym break or something like that, come back at 7, and I had to sit for day two, 7 p.m. to 12 a.m., something like that, because you have to do those mock exams as well.
Yeah.
Because you cannot rely only on weekends.
Yeah.
And guys, for who are, even if you are preparing for September or May, it will be summers. So imagine, writing cases on weekends in summers.
But then, yeah, because those were days when I didn't want to write day 2, but then I did have to write it because I knew that I was scheduled to send them for marking. So I think it helps.
Yeah. So we have two slides left. One is we just want to touch upon Capstone 2, which I think we need perhaps can do better because she did Capstone 2.
Yeah. So Capstone 2 I had to do because it was mandatory with Deloitte. Now Capstone 2, otherwise Indian CAs are exempt. You do not have to do it unless you want to do it. What is Capstone 2? Basically, Capstone 2 is like module workshops which are conducted by CPA Ontario. What happens in those module workshops is that they guide you through, or they give you a brief explanation of what day 1 is, what day 2 is, what day 3 is. They will give you little like examples for each of the case, and they will ask you to write those as a collective. There's like I think 150 people in each call, and then everybody, they give you time to write one specific AO. So just so that what is it like, and what kind of cases there are. And then once you come back, they'll kind of debrief and tell you what's the thought process, how did they respond to that.
So in summary, maybe it is a mix of mentorship workshops, like 2 or 3, and there is a mix of like say 3 4 5 cases that they get marked externally.
So they also in addition to these 2 module workshops, they also mark a few cases for you. So again, the same thing, when you get your cases marked, they provide you with responses and their analysis for each of the AO that you wrote. But for me, I think it was very like, I think this module workshop took place in July itself, and that is the time when I was actually starting. So I didn't personally find it very helpful because at that point in time I was so new. I just didn't know what was happening. It was all so new and so much to digest for me. That whatever teachings they gave us in those like 2 days for the module workshop, I actually learned it over time because I just didn't know what they were talking about at that point. But yeah, it's not mandatory. So even if you feel like it, doing it, go for it. The estimated cost to register for that Capstone 2 is $1,700. So you can see if you want to do that.
So final slide, guys, from our side is should be very useful for you if you are looking how you should start your preparation. So this is the comparison chart that we have given. So option 1 is use study mat from Knotia and do the case writing, self-evaluate. By peer evaluation, we means with people in this group. Study buddies, maybe
Study
if you have a
buddies. Study buddy, somebody you're studying with, so you can get your cases marked through them as well.
So cost is nil, obviously, that you are not going for any options from outside. Obviously it is the cheapest, but the problem is that you would have only financial accounting, and that also has its own challenges because you are going into the software and you like ASPE and IFRS are on different areas, so that's like
This is one thing we want to highlight, that it's not like the study material that we used to receive in CA, and like people used to
That
study from
helpful.
from the material directly. In Knotia, what happens is that there's a separate section for IFRS, there's a separate section for ASPE. So like if you are say going for revenue, if you want to read revenue standard, you'll have to study it separately in IFRS, separately in ASPE, which is very confusing because you do not know how those two were different. What happens in the cases is that sometimes they'll give you a case which is when you actually go for the exam. Sometimes the case would be where the company is following say ASPE framework, sometimes it's following an IFRS framework, right? So if they're following IFRS, you need to know the revenue provisions per IFRS. If it's an ASPE, you need to know. So basically you need to have that segregation in your mind, that revenue per ASPE says this, revenue per IFRS says this. So in order to have that, it's very important that you study those two together
at one place,
right? At one place, so you can see the difference and you can learn it via comparison chart.
And even if you are doing like at the same time from both the sources, even if you study at the same time, very sure like you will not be able to comprehend
Yeah, it's a
both at the same time.
100-page thing. You can't draw
Like, you can
comparisons
draw.
yourself. So in
So
our recommendation, it's not something that we suggest.
yeah, so second is if you buy books from the market, but in terms of case writing, so this is technical material, buy books, and case writing, do your self evaluation. So there are tutors pass and even Densmore, so they offer books for all the 6 competencies for around $300. That's
And
like rough
yeah,
estimate. But the problem here is that, in terms of a case writing, you do not have any person to review your cases or give you professional external feedback. Third option, buy books from the market, approximately $300, and then case writing, get those externally marked. And so obviously pros of both of it, that you have a specific area from where you can study, and second, in terms of case writing, you have some feedback options as well. But yes, getting a cases externally marked, you can plus add those with self-evaluation and peer evaluation from here. And the fourth one is, as we mentioned, that there are a couple of tutors in the market, and the estimated cost is like $3,000.
but we would not recommend this because a couple of our friends, they did the tutor courses, and it takes a lot of time. Their all of their sessions are around 3 to 4 hours each, which is way long, because like they're not teaching specifically Indian CA students, they're teaching like other people as well. So because of that, the kind of knowledge they provide you, if you as Indian CAs attend those, you would feel that these are things which are very basic and we already know. So like we didn't want to spend this much time on simple AS like provisions maybe, or non-monetary transactions, related party things. So it takes a lot of your time. After doing that, you would feel that you've spent so much of your time on technicals in that you could have instead spent on writing and debriefing cases. So I think our recommendation would be have a balance.
So that's about it, guys. We try to summarize in that, almost everything in 1 hour.
And you wouldn't believe that the last webinar that we had, we were speaking for 1.5 hours.
1.5 hours.
And today we've kind of successfully finished
successfully,
it within
but
1 hour.
don't worry, we have covered most of it.
Most of
So we will try to answer the questions which are in the chat first, and if anyone has further questions, then you can unmute yourself, raise your hand, and then we can go ahead. So
Okay. So the first question is, if I will do CPA US and Canada, is it possible to convert it to CPA Canada? What is the process?
So Anand, you can contact me externally on this, but yes, you can convert to CPA Canada later on. There is a specific process to it. I can patch you with specific persons. I have not been through the process, but I can patch you.
Yeah, and I think it's not a long process.
Not
You
a
don't
long
have to
process.
give any
It's fine.
exams or anything, so you can do that. Prachi is asking, can you please explain best process? So best process, if you so if you are an Indian PR, if you came to Canada on PR, Prachi, you would already have your West report. So when you log into your West portal, there would be an option to upgrade your report. So you can just click on that. It would take you to what kind of report you want. So that's ICAP, the report that you would select, and then it asks you to provide your documents, like upload your documents, your degrees and everything. You do not have to do that if you got your West done at the time of your PR. So that's about it. You just pay the fees. You just like do next, pay your fees, and then after that it's sent, and then they would send directly the report to CPA Ontario or whatever your chapter is within like 2 weeks. So that's about it. But if you are if you didn't have if you don't have Vests from before, you can just like directly do that. I think it would take a little longer time, and then you'll have to work around the transcripts for your degrees. But again, the process would majorly be like the same.
So Ankita mentions, hi Ravneet, I have already sent my good standing certificate and received exemptions, but yet to register as a student. I am understood that for September CFE, I should register in April window and not now, as it will be for May. So just to clarify again, you start registering as a CPA student today, get registered until April, May. So it will take 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, it takes 2 to 3 months. It took 2 months for us.
It took 2 months. Say if you start today, you may get registered by March, April, and then when the window for CFE opens, then you enroll for CFE.
Yeah, then you can register for the CFE exam. So the first priority is that you get your student registration done first.
So Apan comes in, when you say focus on elective, how does our focus work? Won't it be based on the questions we are asked in the exam? So when we say, so upon generally the structure of day two exams has been 6 questions from FA or MA and FA and MA, and 7 questions for assurance. When we say focus, you focus would be
Prioritize. It's more like
prioritize. Yeah,
prioritize, like prioritize those questions first,
yeah,
those AOs first,
yeah.
so that you kind of negate any chances of you missing out
Missing out
on
on
the
those.
elective role questions, because you cannot afford to miss out on the elective questions.
Just one example here. Say there are 13 AOs, out of which we give you this segregation. You have a choice to do 10. A choice, in fact, you only have time for 10 because of your speed or whatever. It is always preferable to do 7 AOs of your elective first. Three, the remaining could be FA, could be MA, and you may leave the other ones. We are not saying you leave, but say if you
if you are
don't
in a
have time.
situation of that
Yeah.
sort, prioritize
Elective.
elective first. That's
So
what we're
that's
saying.
what we are saying.
So Naveen is asking, so day one question, day two, 6 questions, day three, 6 questions. Is it?
So
No.
no.
So Naveen, in day one, we normally have around four
Four
questions
questions,
in that one
one case
case,
study.
right? It's around 4 questions, and there's one hidden question that you have to comment on. So you can say it's a total of 5 questions.
Day two.
Day two, we have 13 questions, okay? Which is 6 of MAFA and then approximately 7 to 8 for the
Assurance.
elective role that you choose.
Yeah.
And then day three is
So we have like three
three
case studies, and in each of the 3 case studies, we have 6 questions.
6 to 7.
Six. In like broadly, you would have 18 questions in those
Yeah.
three case studies.
In those 3 case studies.
So that's about it.
Okay, Shalini is asking any specific format for chronological resume. If
no.
yes, do we have a sample in portal itself? No,
Not
Shalini, it's just
sure.
your regular
Just
resume
regular
that you would prepare for your job openings or anything. But just note one thing, that you cannot write CA in there, like with your
Yeah.
name when you type the heading. So for instance, mine was CA Guneet Kaur. So they specifically came back to me and they said that, basis are the CPA regulations, you can't use the word CA because you're not a CPA yet. So they asked me to remove that and then send it back to them. So just remove that CA from your name if you have it. Otherwise, it's just your regular resume, because it would contain your articleship and your post qualification experience, your responsibilities and everything. So it's just that.
I think this is answered.
Can you explain more on the CPA way of writing? Naveen, we already elaborated on that. Yeah. So I think it should have been answered. But again, like we said, that if you want us to elaborate more on any specific day or anything, you can definitely reach out to us. Let us know, because basis your inputs, we can then decide on if we want to have any more calls, or what focus areas do we cover on those calls. So definitely let us know.
Also, with respect to post qualification experience, I'm falling short by 2 months for 2 years. Would working as a staff accountant or tax accountant here in Canada count for post qualification? Yeah, surely, Shalini, because it is post qualification after your qualification as a CA, so this should count.
Yeah. Prachi is asking, can I register before completing 2 years post qualification experience and appear for exam after completing 2 years of work experience?
Don't think so, Prachi. I think you would have. So that's the registration requirement that you need to complete those years. So you have to complete those years first.
For the CP?
Yeah, but
I think
because
people do.
yeah, people do. Uh,
Maybe we
so
can get
Prachi,
back to you on that.
or maybe Prachi, if you would like to give us more details on LinkedIn or email. So we have our email also IDs open. So if you want to drop a small email, we can research a little bit more on this, because we didn't go through that specifically.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Prachi is asking, is there a bond with Big Four if they sponsor CPA? Yeah,
Generally,
it's
yes.
not like a bond. It's not like they kind of bind you to stay with them.
Yeah.
But it's like if you leave within 1 year of doing
So
your
that's a
CPA,
clawback clause.
it's a clawback. You have to pay 100%. If you leave after 1 year,
Yeah.
but before the second year, it's 50%.
Yeah.
If you leave, I think before the third year, it's 30%
So
clawback,
something
so
like
something
that.
like that. But it takes until 3 years. Like if you don't want to pay back anything and want to get it completely sponsored by the company, you have to stay for 3 years.
And this normally applies for like everyone, Big
Yeah.
Four or industry.
Yeah, whoever is sponsoring, I think there's always that clawback. Rajiv is asking why assurance.
So my answer to that, Rajiv, would be So we are not advising you assurance first. Second is that we went for assurance. Like I specifically went for assurance because many people do, and why? Like I was not in the herd, but because you can take guidance. So she was doing assurance. So she had to do assurance because her firm suggested, because they are into assurance, they have to select assurance. I had the choice. I chose assurance because I can get, or in fact we can share knowledge material and discuss on matters. And generally I would say 70% people choose assurance, and you have a lot of knowledge material around
because
it.
there are a lot of resources available if you
Yeah.
choose assurance. If you go out and ask for tax,
Yeah.
first you would not find many people writing tax.
Yeah.
Second, if you want to go for any tutors or specific books, you would not find resources. Ravneet did that because he wanted to write tax first.
Yeah.
He did a little bit research, but then he didn't find a lot of things, so then he gave in and he was like, okay, I'll write assurance.
Even tutors won't help you around that.
Yeah.
Say if you would say to them, say if you go to pass and say I want to write tax, I don't feel they would help because I tried doing
Yeah,
that.
but again, this is our opinion, so like feel free to go do your research if you still
Yeah.
find it more beneficial, and if you want to write any other elective, you should definitely do that.
Karan, maybe you can expand what do you mean by CPA
What about
handbook?
CPA handbook? I think we covered. Like,
But
obviously you
yeah,
can
maybe you
use
can
it, but
expand your
it's
question
yeah.
again. Uh, Sabrine mentions, can we refer to ebooks, learning modules available? Yes, yes, surely you can.
Yeah, you can,
But
but
just
again,
that again, it will be very long.
it will be very long.
Just
It
check out the number of
depends.
pages there are.
It
Yeah,
depends. So D2L study material is, I would say that you can refer it, like you can skim through it. Once you start studying, you would actually understand if you want to do it, or if you want notes which are actually easy to read, easy to memorize, or presented in a form that makes you easy to kind of memorize them as well. So you can try for yourself.
Like we had a student in the last call who was using D2L material, and it worked out well for him. So if you feel that is okay in terms of technical study, and you can cover and grasp everything, so that should be okay.
Simranjeet is asking, I'm Indian CA and PR. Do I need West done for CPA, or and good job in Canada?
So Simran, you just need to get done WES for CPA student registration. That is all.
Yeah, but again, like we've covered this, that you just need to upgrade your report, and that's about it.
Does Big Four India offer any CPA related courses, and do they offer internal transfers? I think that's a very specific question.
I think CPA related courses, as far as I know, Big Four.
CPA US maybe.
Yeah, but she's talking about Big Four India, so you might have to check
Yeah.
internally if that's something that they
May
offer.
offer, yeah.
And then internal transfers, unfortunately, no, because the legal entities are different. You have to go through an interview process. Obviously, it helps on your resume if you already have experience from the same brand. But like, it's
Like
not an internal
like a
transfer. You have to
connection,
interview.
like a connection you may get, but not direct transfers.
Yeah.
Should I apply for PR first and then register for CPA, or the other way
Yeah.
around?
I think it's better that you first get your PR.
Yeah.
After that, you can register for CPA, because I think it's better to do it that way.
Yeah. But try pinging us later on, Vedashi. So people are coming on study visas as well for CPA. So maybe we can patch you. So how to secure job after completing CPA? Whether we need to apply to corporates in Canada? I think Pankaj, we can address this externally as well. So not a very CFE specific question. We can help you later on. Can CPA help in landing strategy or consulting roles, or do they only prefer MBA candidates?
I think for this one, Vedashri,
Yeah.
maybe for the very specific roles that you're talking about, maybe what you can do is that you can actually go to career websites, or look for the kind of roles that you're looking at, and then see, because normally every job would at the bottom of it have a required section where they tell you what they're looking for, what kind of professional degree they accept. And I think that would actually be beneficial, and you can actually see if this is the course that you want to study, basis the positions that you want to pursue in future.
So Roshni has a question. I have 5 years of work experience post qualification. Is best exempt? So yes, Roshni, that should be exempt. Adarsh says, is it hard or confusing to find AOs in day two, or is it easy? So Adarsh, earlier it was very hard, like if you go 3 to 4 years back, but now it is very easy. There is just one AO on day one, which people find it difficult, which we will discuss in later webinars maybe, but otherwise it is easy.
Yeah. Do laptops and calculators provided by CPA Ontario itself in exam, or we need to bring them? Laptops and scientific calculators are provided. You
Yeah.
just need to carry your wired mouse if you're used to using a mouse,
That's
which
right.
we highly recommend that you do, even if you're not used to,
Yeah.
because the alt tab functionality in those laptops does not work. So you definitely need a
Need a
mouse
Yeah.
so that you're able to easily navigate between your Excel workbook and the Word file, and then
Yeah.
the Knotia as well. So always take your with you like a wired mouse. Laptops and calculators are provided by CPA, and also rough worksheets they provide that as well. So if you need to make maybe prepare or outline or something like that on paper, that is provided.
By elective assurance, I think we
I
have
think we
discussed.
answered that question. Could you please explain again about day two in detail, about
I think
number of questions and all? I think we covered
have
that a
discussed
couple of
that.
times. If you
Yeah.
still have any questions, like you can definitely ping us on LinkedIn
A
or
little
send
bit
us
more
an
in
email.
detail. Yeah.
Yeah. Could you please explain again? Okay, we covered this. Just once more on day three, it has 6 competencies and 18 questions, so 3 questions for each
So,
competency. So it's not, I mean, it's not divided like that.
but
It's
generally you can
scattered.
say
No,
like
sometimes no, but it's very subjective, because
subjective.
sometimes tax would be a little heavy. So
Yeah.
in some cases you might find that there
Yeah.
are 5 questions related to just tax, or
In our
maybe
attempt, it
FA
was like 4 or 5 cases only for tax.
questions only for
5
tax.
questions.
So it depends. Like you can't there's not a
Predict.
fixed number
Yeah.
that there's going to be an average of 3 questions or 4 questions from
Yeah.
tax and from this, but there will be definitely like greater than 2 or 3.
Yeah. Yeah. That
And
is for
even
sure.
the 18 number is not fixed.
Not
It's
fixed.
just
Yeah. Like
uh,
18 to 20,
18 to
21,
20,
could be
21,
17 as well.
because it depends on how, like how
How
deep a
complex the
question or
question is.
complex it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's a simple question, they might add another question. So it's very subjective. Like you don't have a threshold number.
How much taxation technical is good for CP taxation? Too much detail or just basics? So
So
Vijay,
Vijay, I would answer that. I
yeah.
struggled a lot with taxation because I have no background with tax. Ravneet helped me with all the taxation, like the complete taxation start to end. He taught me. Uh, I would not say basics, but I would also not say too much detail. I
Yeah.
think it's somewhere in the middle that you know what the concepts are. And I would say that it's more of smart study, because there's a lot of content on tax, a lot. You cannot practically remember everything, go through everything. You have to smart study. You will see repetitive questions in tax, and that is how you would understand that these are the areas or topics that I need to specifically cover when I'm doing tax.
Honestly,
and that's
Vijay,
what we
like
did.
even 20 hours of study may help on this, but even if you spend 80 hours but here and there not studying the focus areas, then it may not help. So
Like uh, Ravneet actually helped me do it start to end,
in like
and I've been pushing him that we need to, he needs to do something about it
Or
and
tax,
maybe help
yeah.
other people who struggle with tax, because he's
I
just so
think
good at it.
we did tax with Guneet in like I think 12, 14 hours. That is all, I guess.
And believe me, like when we were attempting tax in the exam, like I know for a fact that all the tax that I did was
And
correct,
she was
except
very
the little
confident
things
about
here
tax.
and there.
But again, because I spent a good amount of time, I knew the focus areas, and that is why I could mentor or guide her that you should focus on these areas.
Yeah. For CPA license, is it required to have assurance as elective? For
No.
CPA,
No.
if
So what we remember, like what I remember, that you need to have depth or we can say a specific number of AOs in financial accounting for a license.
But I think if you wish to, do public accounting going
Public
forward,
accounting.
you would
Financial accounting and assurance.
need assurance.
But would be more worthwhile, Rajiv, to check with CPA Ontario directly.
Yeah, but
If-
I'm pretty sure that you need to have assurance if you want to go into the public accounting
Yeah,
domain in
because
future.
financial accounting and assurance are the main key pillars to accounting public. Ankita, if you can rephrase which option I should choose for September CFE.
Which option?
I think she would maybe asking day one. She-
Hi, Ravneet. Actually, I was registering as a student, and there are multiple options to select from, and I was confused that which option I should choose. Are you able to see the screenshot I have attached?
Ankita, I think that's not the correct site. Honestly, I
And this is PEP exams. This
that's
is not
PEP.
CFE.
So that's like I can relate because you can possibly go to this link. I went, I guess. So this is not the right link. Try finding the right link if you cannot. Okay.
Okay, so I'm in British Columbia, and I have applied through CPA.
Okay.
Uh,
But still,
yeah.
I guess this is not the option that you should ideally get.
because these are PEP ones.
Yeah.
You should specifically have a drop down about the CFE, which says CFE.
It says CFE.
Yeah,
No,
these are PEP.
like we need to register as a student first, and then when we register as a student, after that we can register into like Capstone 2 and then CFE.
But then even when you're registering as a student, you should not have like PEP
This
courses
PEP
coming
course is
here.
coming here. Yeah.
So Ankita, maybe
Post call.
yeah, maybe post call, you can text us or Ravneet or me, anybody
We
in
can try to
LinkedIn.
find a link
Yeah,
for
and
you.
we can maybe share the link with you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that will be helpful.
Yeah.
I'm so looking forward to in-depth sessions for each day separately. I'm sure will be of great value. Yes, surely others. Thank you.
Simran says, I've not got best done. Actually, I came here on spouse visa. Can I guide? Yeah, Simran, you would need then you would need to start with the VES. You can just like go to their website. It's a pretty simple process.
Yeah.
But you can definitely go check out their website. It comes with instructions, or you can just like maybe YouTube it. You
Should be
just have to
easy.
send all your transcripts to
Yeah.
the VES directly, and they get you the report. So
Yeah.
that's about it. But if you have any questions, you can let us know. Roshni, thank you so much. Rajiv is asking, do you advise to join, pass, or refer their books is enough?
That's your call, Radhi. We gave you the chart.
But in our opinion,
You should go for the
if you're confident, like if you can study by yourself, if
Yeah.
you can actually find out the time during the day and stick to a schedule, like because what happens is when you're self studying, you normally kind of
don't follow a routine.
yeah, you don't follow a routine, so normally people
And when we
prefer.
say self-study, it is not that you have to go into the books and everything. It is more about the discipline. So
Yeah,
basically,
it's more about a routine,
if you
like
can find a
having that.
discipline,
Yeah.
one and a half or something like that, so you should be okay.
Yeah. So our recommendation would be to get their books, but again, depends on if you are disciplined enough to follow them.
Yeah.
This was an extremely insightful session. Can you please share your experience with the support provided at Deloitte for CP? Also, are both of you CP markers? Hi, Tejas. With Deloitte, I had I was provided. There were these classes that we used to have on a regular basis, not very technical, but more so about the approach of the exam. And Deloitte also helped me mark cases. Like they had this proper structured chart for a daily basis that I was referring to, that I knew that I had these submissions due each day. So I had to strictly follow that. So that was how Deloitte was helping in this course. Like it was not just like sponsoring, but also
Yeah.
they provided those lessons. They have a specific CPA team,
Yeah.
CPA team that works, for students.
And that's like the entire 2 months are blocked with Deloitte. Like
Yeah.
they will guide you everything.
Yeah. And then are we both CP markers? Yes, we both are CP markers. We've already started marking cases for the May attempt, and like Ravneet mentioned,
We are starting
yeah.
another batch starting March. If you're looking for May, so you can maybe enroll in that or even start, sharing like whenever you want to enroll.
Yeah.
So we can discuss.
And Mansi says in BC we have PEP options, so it looks like Mansi
So
has already
yeah.
gone through it. So
So Mansi and
Ankita. So
Ankita,
Ankita,
we'll
you
just patch
might
you maybe.
yeah, you might want to reach out to Mansi, and she might be able to help
Yeah.
you
So
with
maybe
your
we'll,
question.
if you both are okay, we'll just patch you both. So Mansi and Ankita, right?
Yeah, Mansi and Ankita.
Okay.
Okay. Rosman says, thanks for such a good seminar. Please create a job so we can connect and make some study buddy. I think
Oh.
you're referring to a group. So
Group,
okay, yeah, we'll do that.
Thanks
Rajiv
a
is
lot
saying
for your
thanks a
valuable
lot. Looking
inputs.
forward to join the future
Yeah,
presentation
sure.
with the detailed one. Simranjeet is asking, are
So
the
we have
passbooks e-books?
we have physical books and ebooks both. So you have access to both. So do we have further questions? Okay.
Okay, so that's
20
about the questions we had
yeah.
in chat.
Yeah,
Do
21
you guys
people still
have...
on the call. Thank you everyone. To like, if anyone has any further questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and we can chat.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. No further questions, looks like, but we will still wait for you.
Thanks,
Good,
guys.
yeah.
Hello.
Good to hear from all of you.
Hello. Hi, Ravneet. Hi, Guneet.
Yeah,
Hi,
hi.
Prachi.
Firstly, really insightful session. Like you guys, even I went on YouTube and I could not find any information. So this was really nice to attend. I have one question. So
Okay.
even I'm coming to Canada on a spousal PR.
Yeah.
I'll be there in 2-3 days now. So for the west part of it, how much time does that process take, and do I have to get that done before I register for CPA
Have you
or in the?
have you done the West already through Canadian PR?
No, I
I
haven't.
think spousal PR, you don't have to
Okay.
do it,
Yeah,
right?
I don't
You have
need
to
West.
go through the entire process. I think should take 6 weeks.
Like, we don't know what the updated timelines
Yeah.
are if you start for a report from scratch, but I think it's somewhere around uh, 1
Like
month or 2
1 to
months
2
between,
months.
because that's what it took when
Actually,
we got it done.
we got it done like 4 years back, 3 to 4 years back. So
Yeah.
not very sure of the timelines
But then
today.
I think West, if you go to the West website, they do like tell what
Yeah.
the timeline is.
Should be easy.
You were mentioning Guneet, you were mentioning something about transcripts from college. So you
Yeah.
require that for CPA, for like college, or like or my
You need
degree
that for
college and all of
West.
that?
Yeah,
West, yeah.
yeah. Because whatever
Okay.
education you are stating in your, when you fill your West profile, and
Mm-hmm.
whatever degrees you want to get verified, so you have to provide all those transcripts directly from like your college or university. So that's the process.
Okay,
And
understood.
I think
Thank
now,
you.
because
Thank you.
yeah, because so many people are going for it, I think now every university or college, they do have a separate, like even if you go to their website, they would have a separate section where you can request transcripts. So I think you should kind of try to look for that.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any
Hi
further
guys,
questions, everyone? Yeah.
Hi, Tejas.
I had a very quick question. I'm at a very preliminary stage of my CPA journey. So, I believe in a room full of CAs and CPAs, but I am starting with I'll be starting with my module one, so core one. So,
Okay.
I was thinking that would you guys be providing some, resources with that also for the modules, or if you guys could connect us with some
Yeah.
people who are on this journey with me.
Uh, Thank you for reaching out, Tejas, and good that you joined the session. You can look yourself into the future years today. So on the first one, we would not be able to, provide you resources or mentorship directly today, but
Yeah,
I can try looking in my connections, who are people who are into the early stages, and maybe patch with you so that you guys can connect with each other and discuss things. So that is the best we can do for now.
yeah, I would really appreciate that. And I really enjoyed this session and the way you guys
Good
took
stuff.
to, how to tackle CFE. So that was really amazing. And also, I'll be starting with Deloitte next year. So
Oh,
I
nice.
would love to have a coffee chat with Guneet sometime later on. So thank you guys.
Definitely, Tejas, and congratulations. That's a great start.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Good stuff. Anyone else? I think people may be a little bit passive.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good stuff. Thank you very much for joining in and sharing your thoughts, sharing your questions. We also really enjoyed every bit of it. So, thank you.
And again, if you have any questions
Yeah.
or anything else that you want to discuss directly, feel free to send us a message. The responses might be a little delayed, but we'll definitely get back.
Thank you, everyone. And
Thanks,
we'll see you
everyone.
soon.
We will see you
Bye-bye.
soon, and do let us know if you want us to cover any specific topics going forward, or like any specific sessions that you want us to have.
Yeah.
Bye bye. Have a good night.